Hello and welcome to the best of GCS Today here on Channel 21. I'm Todd Hagans. This summer, we are looking back at a few of our favorite GCS Today interviews from the 2017-2018 school year. This episode features our interviews with Hunter Huss High School teacher Michelle Ellis and H.H. Beam Elementary teacher Karen Solis. We also include our interview with curriculum facilitator Shannon Hullett, who shares about the importance of reading. Up first is Michelle Ellis from Hunter Huss High School. Joining me on GCS Today is Michelle Ellis. She is an Earth and Environmental Science teacher at Hunter Huss High School. Michelle, thank you for being with us.
Thank you for the invitation.
Now, Michelle, you have been chosen as one of 3 state-level finalists for a Presidential Award for Excellence in Mathematics and Science Teaching. So first, congratulations on that. That sounds like a wonderful honor. And so you are one of 3 finalists, and a state-level winner will be chosen. And we all hope that it's you. Tell us a little bit about the awards program.
The award started in 1983. It was actually enacted by Congress. And so they're celebrating their 35 years this go-around for this cycle. And it's the highest honor that the government can give specifically to math and science teachers. It focuses on high-quality instruction, content knowledge, and student progress and learning.
And so you are obviously in the science area, and in the science there's a teacher from Asheville and there's a teacher from Polk County that you are competing against. So it's Asheville, Polk County, and Gaston County as the finalist for this award. What do you think it means for a teacher to have excellence in science? I'm sure that's probably something you strive for every day in your classroom.
So the common thing is, well, the most important thing is our impact on students, and not just test scores but on their learning and the progress that they make. And we're doing pedagogical practices in science that are research-based, and we look at data and work with our students and just concentrate on their needs and their hands-on and whatever they need. That's part of it, but also part of it is the leadership that you have to have inside your district and outside of your district. And the things that you are doing in your classroom, are you passing those on? Are you building stronger educators and leaders around the state of North Carolina? And that's what I feel we're doing.
So you applied for this award, and I assume there were certain criteria that you have to meet and go through that application process to be selected as a finalist.
Yes, sir. So the application process is what they call a mini national board, and it really is, you have to do your videotaping, you have to pick a content, and you have to go through your videotape and answer the questions and reflect on how you responded to them. So why is this important, and where did you show the students where this is important, and where did you do the hands-on learning, and where did you do the assessment of your students? And just general other things like resume and whatnot.
So it's more than just filling out a one-page application. Through the video, they are able to be inside your classroom, I guess you could say, and have the opportunity to meet you and get to know you better.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So that's very important for them to actually see what you're doing. You can write anything, but when you can put your writing of your standards and excellence that you're doing, and they can see that at the same time. That's what makes it better.
Now, you teach Earth and Environmental Science. What is it like inside your classroom?
Inside my classroom, day to day, it depends on what you're walking in on. I could be instructing at the board, which is actually very rare. Mainly our students are in groups and working on inquiry-based things. They're given a question, they're given materials, solve this problem, get to where we need to be. And sometimes we have this thing called Explore Day, and they're working on anything that they want to in that topic and area. So I could have 12 different things happening in my classroom. So it's unstructured structure.
Right. Well, I think that's important because you want students engaged. You want them to work together. You want them to be active in a classroom. You don't necessarily want it where the teacher's doing all the talking and the students are just listening.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
All right, some of the topics in Earth and Environmental Science that students love. What are ones that they really like to focus on?
They like ecosystems. They like dealing with alternative energies, fossil fuels, and how we fuel the world. And I cross that over into global context as well. And we look at other countries and how they handle things in addition to what North Carolina is doing. So I think they like that aspect of doing that and seeing around the world. Weather and climate, they're interested in because it's so complex and they really want to know more about that. So that interests them as well.
I've always had a fascination with tornadoes and how that works. Did you cover that in your class any?
We touch on it, but it's as a cyclonic storm is how we touch onto it. But we focus more on the hurricanes than the tornadoes.
Okay. And probably earthquakes. Do you get into earthquakes?
We do get into earthquakes. They really do like that. I mean, we tried doing a shaking table with Jello and marshmallows and then building the structure. So that gets eaten pretty quickly.
That experiment doesn't stay around too long.
It doesn't.
Now, it's very obvious that you love teaching, and I know that you're at the high school level now at Hunter Huss. You've been a middle school teacher. Have you taught at the elementary level as well? So you've taught at all three levels.
Yes.
And what do you see about education that something that you love and that you look forward to, something that makes your job just really exciting from day to day?
I like seeing the interest students, and it's actually interesting since I've been elementary, middle, and high, seeing some of these kids grow up. So that's a little side note that's kind of fun for me. But watching their interest and when they're really engaged in something and when they're asking question after question after question, that's important. That's something like, oh, let's not ask questions, you're asking me questions. No, but that's showing me that you want to do something and that you want to learn. And so that's important to answer those. And sometimes for me, it's just I'm learning too, because these kids know in certain areas more than I may know. And so they see the process of me learning as well. So it's a two-way street.
How important is science education to preparing students for graduation and beyond graduation?
For that, it's very important, and I think sometimes that's hard to be seen because there's so much focus on reading and math. But science incorporates both of those things. And when I was at Greer, I was a math and science teacher, and I did the math I did focused on science and activity that was related to science. So it gets them thinking in a different way. And if we're trying to increase critical thinking and independent learning, if we're trying to do those things, science is the way to do that because it gives them that opportunity to actually make an application to what we're doing. You know, Johnny can have 20 watermelons, but and get 60 more. But when they actually see where they have to do the addition, the math part in science, they understand more. And then the research they do in reading. So that common core all comes together in science when you look at the pedagogy and the inquiry skills that students need to learn.
You don't have subjects that necessarily stand alone.
Exactly.
They complement one another and they're integrated, where if you're in science, you're using those math skills, technology, you're incorporating the reading, and that's really important because when a student gets into the business world and into college, they've got to be able to think, I guess you could say maybe across disciplines or across the curriculum. And do you find that that's what your students are doing? And is that something you want to make sure that they're able to think critically and work together and solve those problems?
It is vitally important for them. And when I teach my class, I train that way for my students to understand. And I go around and I talk to other teachers, what are you doing? And when I did something with math related, come to find out it was something they needed in science as well. So I worked a good bit my first year at Hunter Huss with a math teacher and letting the students see how things cross over. And they need those skills of collaborating together. When you look at what businesses want, they want collaboration. That's a focus for them, and those soft skills that are taught in my science class because I focus on that. You're going to need this in real life, and I try to show them that even through some things as simple as a scientific method, how that works and how that relates to real life. And you got to get facts, and you can't believe everything on social media. You know, investigate things for yourself and then see and make your own conclusions. And claims, evidence, and reasoning. And I'm like, if you say something, you have to have some evidence to back that up and then explain how they all tie in together. And that is a skill they need, and that's something I teach in science.
Okay, I want you to brag on yourself a little bit with this answer. What makes you the best candidate for this Presidential Award for Excellence?
Oh wow, brag on myself. It's hard because I owe so much to so many people that have been supportive to me. So I want to thank them before I start the bragging. But I have concentrated a great deal on staying in line with the changes that are happening in curriculum and instruction overall, and specifically into science education. That is important to me. I've continued my education. I've earned my master's in K-8 science, and I'm getting my PhD now in global STEM education. And I think that not just learning, but the fact that I'm putting it into the classroom and distributing that knowledge to my students, as well as helping to professional learning for the teachers around me. It's like, hey, look what I learned. And being involved in the organization I've been involved in, North Carolina Science Teachers Association, National Science Teachers Association. So doing all those things and not just being a member, but being an active member on committees and roles and just guiding through.
Well, Michelle, we certainly think you are most deserving of the Presidential Award for Excellence in Mathematics and Science Teaching. You are one of 3 finalists statewide for this state-level award that will be presented, and we hope that you'll be back with us soon and you can tell us what it's like to be the state award winner of this award. So good luck to you in the competition, and we appreciate all that you do for our students at Hunter Huss High School and everything that you do for the teaching profession. And we appreciate you being with us today here on GCS Today.
Thank you very much, I appreciate it.
Coming up next on the Best of GCS Today is H.H. Beam elementary teacher Karen Solis, and later we have our interview with Shannon Hullett, who provides information about the importance of reading.
Hey you!
Yeah, you! Getting that college education? What are you gonna do? Graduate and take some office job? Be like everybody else?
Or will you dare do something different?
Like, be a teacher. You could be my teacher. You got the skills.
The smarts?
Yes, you. You could be the teacher I never forget.
That'd be cool.
Does that corporate job even have recess? What are you gonna make of yourself?
What are you gonna make of me?
I make learning a privilege, not a chore, and unconventional methods common. I'm a teacher. I make more.
Joining me on GCS Today is Karen Solis. She is an ESL teacher at H.H. Beam Elementary School. Karen, welcome, and let's first talk about tell me what ESL stands for.
Hi, Todd. Thanks for having me today. ESL stands for English as a Second Language, and that is our student population that comes to us with another language having been spoken in the home, and they need that support for transitioning to full English.
Now, Karen, you have been chosen as a representative for the TESOL International Association's Advocacy Days in Washington, D.C. this June. That's a mouthful. And tell us a little bit about TESOL. I know it's an organization that is committed to advancing the English language learning in schools.
Right, and it's now an international organization, and this opportunity will provide advocates from all over the United States to come to Capitol Hill and be debriefed on what the current issues are and how to best represent yourself for a day with appointments made to the representatives and senators.
And another thing that I want to mention is in July, you will present a workshop at the PSYOP National Conference in Seattle. So you're going to be busy this summer representing our students in our school district. Tell us a little bit about that workshop and what you'll be doing with that opportunity.
Well, PSYOP stands for the Sheltered Instruction Observation Protocol, which is just a great best practices teaching way of differentiating for all learners, but specifically for English learners. We actually have our own PSYOP coach here in Gaston County who is able to provide support to content teachers in the classroom, and will come out and do workshops as well. Lisa Jordan.
So you're going to be serving as the advocate and as a promoter and as someone who knows what students need and what adults can do and people of influence can do to help the children in the classroom.
Yes.
And I think it's important to note when you hear ESL, English as a Second Language, you automatically think that you are working with children who speak Spanish, and that is the case. But there are many other languages that I think there's about 30 languages that students in our schools speak. So talk a little bit about the different languages that you encounter when working with your students.
Well, we have over 30 languages in Gaston County, and predominantly the Spanish at my current school, H.H. Beam, is Spanish, but they come from different countries. So there's different dialects of Spanish, but I've also had students that speak Chinese, Vietnamese, Hmong, Polish, Arabic, and one of the neatest things I had was a little girl from the Jordan and a girl from Egypt. And I let them self-discover that they spoke the same language in first grade. And it was awesome because their eyes just got huge. And of course, they have a whole different way of writing. And I let them write their names on the board. And all the other kids were just like, wow, what does that say? And it was like they had their own private language. And it was just really neat.
Now I know that being in the classroom, when I was in high school and we learned Spanish, the way we learned that is the teacher would put tags all around the room on different items so we could build that vocabulary. I imagine you do some of that as well. What is your goal? I know that you want to help students learn how to speak English so they can communicate.
Right, and I want in order for students to communicate, they need to be able to learn the vocabulary, learn basic sentence structure, and then be able to develop discourse, whether it's speaking and doing a presentation or being able to write an essay eventually in high school. So what I focus on is building their capacity as they're learning English to be able to do those things and to be a successful student in the regular classroom. Because it's so important for them to be able to verbalize their ideas and to go from a very beginning level of just being able to use the bathroom or get some water to being able to, when they don't understand something about photosynthesis, to be able to ask that academic question.
Now, I imagine elementary age children, they probably are eager to learn new words in a new language. Do you see that happening in your classroom?
I do, but it's also exhausting, especially for our kindergartners who come in that are it'd be like if you were young and you came in and you heard Chinese all day, every day, and you didn't understand a single word. It wouldn't matter if I spoke slower, it wouldn't matter if I spoke louder. You wouldn't understand it unless I brought some things in and you were able to start with your brain patterns making connections that, oh, that's a pencil, and then you would start saying it. So it is exhausting for our newcomers, but at the same time, when they have that warm, inviting environment in the classroom and that peer support, then they pick it up rapidly.
Now, with the opportunity that you're going to have to participate in the advocacy days this summer, and also the national conference in Seattle, what exactly will you be doing, and how are you chosen for those two opportunities?
Okay, for the TESOL advocacy, I actually read an email about a membership opening for the National Council of State Title III Directors. And they wanted to have more representation across different areas for the English learners and be able to have a stronger membership of who all is impacted by Title III. So I applied for that and I was in it, and they had an application go out for TESOL Advocacy Day. And because I had represented Carolina TESOL, my professional organization here in North and South Carolina, and had been the socio-political rep and attended TESOL advocacy before, I think that sort of set it in my favor to be able to go, and they've asked me to go and represent nationally now.
Okay.
It's exciting.
Let's talk a little bit about your classroom. First, what is it like to be an ESL teacher? Obviously, it's something you enjoy.
I do. I found my fishbowl. So I started out as a classroom teacher, taught 5th grade here in Woodhill, and then moved to California for a while and came back. But what I love about ESL is that I'm bringing all different cultures into my classroom and into my world, and able to build their language skills with different, we do a lot of projects, and like in 3rd grade we're getting ready to do vegetable gardens, and it's just so easy to integrate all 4 domains of language, the listening, speaking, reading, and writing, with your math and your science and your reading and even social studies. So I like being able to give them the whole ball of wax, so to speak, in my classroom, and then with the technology that I'm able to have through Pinnacle, it just adds a whole nother dimension. So yeah, we're really excited.
And I know that you're part of the Pinnacle Leaders program here in Gaston County, and of course that's for educators, and it helps build technology skills. You're a technology guru in your school, so I wanted to ask you a little bit about, I imagine that technology complements what you do in the classroom.
Well, I think it can for any classroom. I think the way that we use technology is critical, because we don't want to make it all about the technology. Because in everyday life, you want to make whatever you do a seamless integration. So using the domains of language with the content, with the technology, it's useful, meaningful, purposeful, and relevant. And it's authentic. And then the students, no matter, because technology grows so rapidly in what we're doing. So if I can help build those critical pathways in the brain so that no matter what they're faced with 5 years from now, they're going to have all this wonderful opportunity in my classroom with what they've learned, with what we have, to progress further later.
What do you enjoy most about your job?
That's hard, because I love working with the students. I love seeing those aha light bulbs go off every day. And in elementary, we still get the hugs. But I also love working with teachers. And I love just encouraging them and building their capacity as well with the technology or with differentiating strategies when they're not able to connect with the student, and just building those bridges as well. It's good times.
And we are getting close to the end of another school year.
Mm-hmm.
When you look back on the school year with your students, what has been your goal? What have you wanted to accomplish with your students?
That's such a great question, because we're in a very reflective mode right now. What haven't we done? What do we still want to do? What are we going to be able to do realistically as we finish out the school year? I think, with what we're doing right now is creating ebooks so that they are summarizing everything they've learned this year, and then they can access it from home over the summer, or if they go to the library from the computers there, wherever. There's just never enough time. That's my biggest thing. There's never enough time. More projects. I wish we could have done more projects. With the constraints, only being able to pull them out for certain amounts of time during the year or during the day. It's just such a challenge, but it gives me a starting point. One of the really neat things is that I'll have those students next year too. So I know what they've had, and I know where I can start and get them going with things that we haven't been able to do this year.
Well, I know that your students and their parents as well, I know they appreciate what you do to help them learn and help them grow and to build that English language foundation at the elementary school level so that they can be successful when they go to middle school and high school. We know that's what you're accomplishing in your classroom. So, and we appreciate that, and we want to congratulate you on these 2 big opportunities this summer to represent your school and to represent Gaston County Schools on a national level, and bringing attention to the importance of ESL teaching and learning in our classrooms. So congratulations on that.
Thank you so much.
And we certainly appreciate you being with us today here on GCS Today.
Thank you, and thank you for having me.
You are watching the best of GCS Today here on Channel 21. We will be right back.
Everything starts out small. the things that hurt us, they all start from somewhere. The words we say, the things we do, they can grow into something else. What was small and innocent can become big and sometimes scary. All it takes is one comment, one picture, one video for something to catch fire. But a big problem doesn't need a big response. Not at first. Even if we don't know what to say, the eye emoji can be that first step we take. Let's all pledge to take that first small step together and change the world in a big way. I'm a witness, and so are you.
We are continuing our conversation about reading, and joining me on GCS today is Shannon Hullett, curriculum facilitator for our elementary schools. Welcome, Shannon.
Thank you.
We're going to talk about parents. Parents play a very important role in reading. And talk about that role. What role do parents play in a child's reading success?
Well, we know from research that parent involvement is the #1 factor in early literacy success and future academic achievement. So they truly are the key to their children's success in literacy. So they're very, very important.
And the students come to us, some come to us as pre-kindergartners when they're 4 years old, and they come to us, of course, in kindergarten at 5 years old. But reading has to start much earlier than that.
Absolutely. I say read to them in the womb, read to them before they're even born, talk to them, sing to them, those lullabies. All of that is developing the language that they're going to need to be able to read and write successfully throughout their life. So yes, they can't wait till they come until we get them in kindergarten. It's definitely a partnership, and it starts, as soon as they know that they were blessed.
Do you have some tips for parents? Because we may have some parents that say, I want to help, I want to do what I'm supposed to be doing, but I'm not really sure. What tips would you share with parents?
Pretend. If you're not a reader yourself, be the best actor or actress that you can be. Go get books. Go to the library. A library card's free. The librarian can put some just right books in your hand. Snuggle. Make it a daily routine. Save that time every day where you can just sit down beside your child and read. Make it interactive. Learn alongside the character. Research trucks because your kids love trucks. Find what interests them, and then make it a part of what you do. When you're riding down the street, look at road signs, play games, read the road signs. At the breakfast table, read the back of the cereal box. Just immerse them in reading and writing, but don't make it hard, make it fun. Just make it fun and something that they enjoy doing.
Well, I think you make a good point there. Reading should be enjoyable. And sometimes when we think about reading, we think, oh my goodness, I don't really enjoy that, or I don't want to do that. How do we help children find that love for reading?
We got to know what excites them. We've got to know what they're interested in. So through conversation, we talk to them and we find that spark. And then once we know that spark, we find the books that are going to encourage that spark to grow. When somebody says they don't like to read, they haven't found the right book. They haven't found that magical moment when a character changed who they are. So we haven't done our job. So when a child says, oh, I don't like to read, it almost should become a challenge for us. And we need to start talking to them and learning who they are as a person, because then we're going to connect books to them that's going to grow them and their interests.
So it's important for parents that when their child is interested in a certain topic, trucks or robots or dinosaurs, whatever it may be, to find those books and make sure those books are in the home. So that helps with sparking that interest.
Absolutely.
Now, you were a teacher.
Yes.
What strategies did you put in place in your classroom that worked?
Again, I was that literacy advocate. I got excited about books. We shared the love of books. We had book commercials. We got the kids to share what they liked to get other kids interested in the books that they had. The classroom library became the center of our classroom. The walls of the classroom sparked interest that kids would read and want to write about. I knew who my students were. I got to know those students. I talked to their parents. I begged for books from their parents so that I had enough books in my classroom library to support them throughout the year. That's a lot of books. You think about some of our classrooms have 30 kids in them, and we have kids that are reading chapter books, and they need to get through a chapter book in about a week and a half. So you think about how many books we need in our classroom libraries to keep them excited and motivated as readers. So that was a challenge, but that's something I took on because I knew how important it was, because the instruction comes when the kids are engaged as a reader. You see right away where they are as a reader, and you're able to push them along that continuum because they want to go. They want to dig deeper about the characters. They want to learn more about that robot. So it made my job so much easier. So it was that engagement factor and having enough of books available for them to want to read, to move them as a reader and as a writer, because that naturally, those two things fit together. I'm reading about it, now I want to write about it. So that was probably knowing who my readers were was the key to my success.
And I think probably something too, as a teacher, you have that classroom library. And then you have the library at the school. And so you have children in that environment of going to the library. But also the public library is an excellent resource for parents as well.
Absolutely. We're excited because we have built a great partnership with the Gaston County Public Library. A library card is free, and our students now have an e-digital card where they can access all of the e-digital books for free with the Gaston County Public Library. So they have lots of books at their fingertips. So yes, that's a definite partnership that we want to encourage. The Gaston County Public Library partnerships with our summer reading camp. They come out, they read, they tell stories, but they introduce them to what our library system is. And this past summer, we were so excited because one of the librarians said, we had kids from summer camp. They rode the bus. They had their grandma get them on the bus. They rode the bus to the library and they checked out books for like the very first time. And if you could see the excitement in their face just to hold that book, to have that book and to be able to take it and read it, that's what we're looking for. So any type of partnership, so we're getting the books in the hands of the kids is critically important.
Now, parents who are watching, how can they partner with the teacher to promote reading and to help their child?
Communication is key. Talk, have that ongoing communication, whether it be through email, whether it be through phone, through in person, but talk with them. Know what they're learning about their child as a reader. Our teachers are helping students set personal goals as readers. Know what those goals are. They'll see their kids come home and they have pages paper clipped, and that paper clip means this is the amount of reading I need to do tonight to meet my goal. So help the student get to the last page of that paper clip. So know their goals as a reader, help encourage them to continue to achieve those goals. Read with them, have conversations with them every night. Make it a daily routine, make it a part of, it's just what we do. And then help the teachers when they can with books. We cannot have enough books in our classrooms. So if I know my child loves to read about robots and the teacher has a limited collection, maybe that's something that I can help provide within the classroom as well. So all of those things are going to go a long way in making sure that our children are successful as readers and as writers.
So when it comes to reading, it's not just the teacher's responsibility. It's not just on parents. It's not just on the school. It really is a community effort to support reading.
Absolutely. It takes all of us. And It takes all of us being excited about reading. It takes all of us encouraging reading. So yes, it takes every hand on deck to grow every child in Gaston County.
Shannon Hollett, curriculum facilitator for our elementary schools here in Gaston County. We appreciate you being with us today on GCS Today.
Thank you.
Thank you for watching the best of GCS Today here on Channel 21. Stay tuned for the latest school news and happenings, and be looking for new episodes of GCS Today in August. I'm Todd Higgins. We look forward to seeing you next time.